Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go down to Jake's place and we're going to take a look at a problem that he's had. He repaired this problem. He repaired a wiring problem. You saw that a number of videos ago. And then he was down pulling on wiring and doing stuff, and this problem came back. So he couldn't get it fixed up, so he asked me to go down. So the video today is going to be showing you me using a Load Pro to check circuits. The circuit in question is for the diesel exhaust fluid injector, which is a 2-wire circuit fed by the ECM. It's a pulse width circuit, and I'm going to show you what I do when I check circuits. So let's go take a look and see what's going on. So I drew this, or downloaded this and circled the 2 leads I'm working with to make it quicker. This is the circuit we're checking right here. These wires. The problem's either the wires, this, or the ECM has got a problem. This is the fault, 3567. Dosing valve circuit current below normal. A circuit error has been detected in the dosing valve circuit. Okay. Shop talk, possible causes. Dosing valve itself. Short circuit the battery OEM, short circuit the ground OEM, open OEM. Those are the wires going to the injector they're talking about. For intermittent power and data link, usually check out the distribution block. The ECM feeds this, so I'm not terribly worried about that because we don't have any other faults. We're working on the engine control module OEM connector, which is J2.
I'll have to get a ratchet because I can't get this in there.
So now we're running our test wire down under the truck so he can get to it underneath. This is a lithium battery that I brought over to use with the Load Pro because it can run 2 amps, and this way we don't have to drag a ton of stuff around on the truck or get a big battery. It's so much easier.
It is.
All right, so I'm going to turn my meter on. And now we should have hot into the ECM plug. Load it, you're going to push that button down.
Okay.
Then we're going to watch that meter, okay? And we've got a reading, 13.14. Now,
I think that's what your battery had. It wasn't.
we're going to hit the Load Pro.
It wasn't at 14.
It dropped to 1303. You can see that? So that wire is good. Okay, Jake, go to the other one.
Yep.
Got it?
Yep.
And we're in the other wire. We've got 13.4, 1303. So according to the Load Pro, our wires are good. I think somebody came to check up on me, didn't they? Yes, I'm working hard. There you go. Good girl. So Jake just ohmed out the DEF injector, and it's reading 12.4 ohms.
And then the other way, 13.6.
It doesn't matter either way because it's just a coil.
I took that sensor out.
That's okay. Not yet. I'm going to, after I do this, I'm going to restart the computer because it's running slow.
Okay.
That's usually well, I couldn't get 3714 to go away. If we had put the truck outside and run it through an SCR system test or regen, it would have gone away, gone inactive at the end of the test. That's an hour and 45 minutes approximately away. I wanted to make sure it was okay before I left, so I just recalibrated the ECM with the same calibration, same revision that was in it. And of course, 3714 was inactive and gone. And then I ran the truck long enough for the SCR injector to start dosing, and 3714 did not come back. So I left and I told Jake to run it through a stationary regen before it was done. And he did that, and the fault did not come back. So that took care of that. And the point of this video, I wanted you to see that Load Pro. That's an awesome tool. When we did the ECM plug, I did the testing with the pins and the plug. And in a second, you're going to see a schematic of what we check so you understand how the Load Pro works, okay? I'm not selling Load Pros. I'm just telling you, I personally, after using one, use it. And in fact, these days in their troubleshooting, Cummins recommends you use this for troubleshooting wiring. And I think it's a really good thing. I used to use a big carbon resistor to do this back before they had stuff like this, but this is the safe way. You're not going to burn anything up. The only thing that I did that I didn't like, and this is why I did it, I've been asking Jake to get that tool you put in the ECM plug so that you don't damage the sockets in there because they're fragile. So I held the ECM plug and I took the test lead and put it against the socket in the ECM plug. I never pushed my lead into the socket in the ECM plug. I just held it against the opening of it, okay? Because if you push the wrong lead or a paper clip that's always worked for you into that ECM plug, you're going to end up taking the plug apart and changing the sockets that you damaged. And I had a guy that I think is an excellent mechanic tell me he could do it safely with his paper clip, and he told me he'll never do that again after he spent 4 hours changing 3 leads on a crane in a blizzard. So enough said. Okay, so take a look at this schematic of how the Load Pro works here that I kind of hand drew out, and then we'll see you next time. So I've got some red circles with numbers in them, and we'll walk through them. Number 1 is a 12-volt battery. Number 2, you always have to have a fuse between the battery positive and whatever you're testing. I use a 5-amp resettable breaker, mechanically resettable, so that you don't melt something or hurt yourself. And then in this case, the number 3, that color wires are the test leads. One end's got an alligator clip. The other end's got a specific type of end, either a socket or a pin on it, depending what circuit or what pigtail's being tested. In this case, we did not have the breakout tool for the ECM, which presses into the plug and locks in, and then you can't damage those sockets. So I took the ECM plug and I just touched my test lead pins, which I was using the test lead tool for the SCR system, which are the smallest physical test pins that they have in that kit. And I just held them against the ECM socket terminals. I did not press into them. So in this case, we checked each wire, the wires number 4 individually, but for the sake of ease, we're going to check them as one big circle circuit here. Jump down to number 5. That would be just a jumper wire that I'd stick in each end each socket of that 2-pin plug that I unplugged out of the DEF injector. So now we've made a loop out of those wires from the ECM. The Load Pro would go to one end or one terminal. Your 5-amp wire went to the other. The Load Pro 2 number 6 has a test tip, a ground lead, which goes to the battery negative, with the battery that you're testing with, not the machine or truck battery, but the battery you're testing with. And then there's 2 leads that go to your voltmeter, and the tool tells you what to set your voltmeter on. And then the voltmeter will read the voltage of the circuit. And when you push the load button on the Load Pro, it will put a load on the circuit in terms of current. That's why you need the ground lead going over the battery. And whatever the voltage drop is in the circuit, it just shows it on the voltmeter for you. So this is nothing you couldn't do yourself, but it just makes it so easy and convenient and safe, because there's no chance you're going to overload that circuit and burn out a 16 or 18 or 20 gauge wire that's on a pulse circuit. Okay? And so that's it. It's that simple. And we were checking the OEM DEF injector harness from the ECM plug to the pigtail where it plugs into the DEF injector, because the fault was on the DEF injector circuit being shorted low. And we found out that the DEF injector, when it got hot, after it ran for maybe 2-3 hours, the truck ran down the road, the injector would start shorting the coil in it. And so that caused our fault. We'd always see 1 or 2 or 3 of the fault codes that we were after, which in this case was 3567, and 3714 always stayed active because the OBD light brought that on, and the fault would happen again before the end of the day. So you would have the fault stay active, the 3714 in this case, and the truck would go into a D-rate again as soon as it came active. At the end of the day, overnight, you had your 8-hour trip, so it'd start over in the morning. Okay, so that's kind of what was going on with this. All right, well, thanks for joining me. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do a follow-up video where I'll answer your questions on this, okay? See you next time on Engine Shop Joe.